Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. So, yeah, one of the biggest things about J Juice is always questioning why you do the things that you do. Because I always question why I do the things I do. What motivates me? What has me get triggered? What motivates other people? What gets them triggered? And it's definitely a game of psychology. It's a game of manipulation on either end. And we have to understand where it all comes from so that way you can learn how to control the narrative in your world, because I've seen people have the narrative go out of control in their world where rumors and hearsay overshadow the truth, and then people get driven out of relationships and driven out of communities because they didn't know how to control their own narrative or know how to stand up for themselves. And so, I'm from America. I'm from Vietnam, but I live in America for many, many, many years. And America has free speech. You have the government trying to control the narrative one way, and then you have the people who then filter the laws and the information, filter it through another way. And then you have a clashing, a conflict. You have people just making up stories or perceiving something in a way that is not true. And then that's when you have the conspiracy world. That's when you have just, such utter chaos. So in a lot of ways, the government's trying to balance freedom of speech and balance absolute rule. And that is a very difficult balance to try to manage, because it really is based upon the biochemistry of the body. Okay? Because biochemistry really has a lot to do with how narratives get created. And so, someone told me the last couple of days or the last day or so, they're like, you've been triggered lately. Why is that? I've been noticing an observation. And I think it's great. Observations are great, so people understand where I'm coming from. Jilly Juice is a very specific protocol with very specific politics around it. Okay? I get hit by a lot of different people. I get private messaged. I get people's comments. I get so much stuff that I have to control. And what it is that there's so many different people with different agendas. And even though they're not, intentionally trying to control or trying to insert their agenda, people do, even unconsciously. And I even see it. And so even though you don't intend to insert your agenda and try to influence this protocol in some way, I see it, and I have to come down because I have to control the narrative. You already see what happened in the last couple of years with the media, with hearsay, with trolls, with everything, with different people's agendas from their backgrounds, with their culture, their belief system. Okay? And so, if it isn't you in your world controlling the agenda, somebody else is going to. If I were to just walk away from my group and let, certain people handle it, okay, some people are a bit more lenient than I am. Some people are a bit more lax than I am. Some people like to have a lot of different thought process fly back and forth. And for me, when that happens, it dilutes the actual message. When you have so much conversation, so much information that has so many different perspectives, and then I know people that also bring in their filters from their world, and maybe they're not doing the juice. People say, oh yeah, I'm doing the juice. But when you actually look at their comments or Facebook, their behaviors, they're not doing the juice. Or if they are, it really isn't enough for it to make any difference. And so I see it in the comments and the behaviors and in their Facebook posts. And so I just have to assume, if I don't see evidence of just a very straight communication as far as the J Juice and their benefits, then I'm starting to see then other agendas get pulled in. And I see people trying to, I mean, not, I don't say trying, because I don't want to suppose and speculate that there's intention, there's maliciousness. No, there isn't. But humans just automatically, unconsciously insert their agenda without even knowing it. And so I constantly have to make sure that I control that agenda. I make them fly straight. And I say, hey, you know, you're not doing the protocol at the level that you need to be able to really accurately contribute. Okay? Because, you know, I mean, people don't know what I know when they're new on the scene. Let's say they came on here the last month and they're new on the scene and they're thinking that they've invented everything and that they've discovered all these things like the conspiracy world or Santos Bonacci or all these different, you know, protocols. And I've pretty much done everything. I've seen everything. There's really nothing that I don't know about or I can't go and find out myself. And so it's like people do want to insert their knowledge. And their knowledge is great if it's aligned with the JJUICE protocol. But if you're not doing JJUICE protocol and you haven't been on it long enough and you haven't been around my information long enough, there's no way you're going to accurately describe or inform people about the protocol in the proper way, because you're going to put your slant on it. Now, you do that in your own world, I don't care, because it's not my world. Do it on your own page, do it in your own, like, you know, your own groups. I don't care. But when it comes to like my page and my group, I have to control the narrative. And so, yes, if I see people trying to control the narrative unconsciously, I will go and come down. And I have to, because this is my baby. It cannot get out of control like you see out there in the conspiracy world, like you see out there in the anti-vax world, like you see out there. You know, I mean, America, we're still balancing free speech and absolute rule. And it's a back and forth. And you're seeing the conflict, the fight between, because it's natural for people to want to be absolute rule. But then you have to look at the biochemistry. And if that biochemistry is imbalanced, that absolute rule is imbalanced. Okay, so that's why there is checks and balances with America. Why we do have the 3 branches of government. Because people tend to want to control the narrative based upon their perception of the world. And some people are really, you know, mentally ill. Some people characterize me as mentally ill. Okay, that's fine. That is your opinion. That, you know, there's nothing wrong with your opinion. But then that's why we have the law to then say, okay, we have a set of laws that if you violate these laws, then we will put you, you know, we'll put you through the justice system, and then let the jury and let the law figure out if you are mentally ill and illegal. So, you know, so we allow people to have all of their different opinions, but when it really comes down to it, the law is the last say. Okay. And so, you know, like my world, the JJUICE world, is a microcosm of America that has an absolute rule, but run through, I would say, in my opinion, a pretty well balanced biochemistry. Okay, because I'm not looking for anyone to die. I don't believe in death. I mean, it happens if you violate the laws of life and you adhere to the laws of death. Yes, that's the outcome. But I'm not trying to go there. And I am noticing patterns in our society that people say, oh, I want to live. But then the end result is that they die. And then they are okay with that. You know, I mean, yesterday when I dropped some seeds on a person's, you know, religious page, you know, they're all about Yah and all that, you know, the Yah group, and because they were really, really heavily into this in the beginning. They have since sort of disbanded. I don't see too much of the Yah people. Just occasionally you see them. But they still believe in death. They believe people should die. But they're like, oh, we about, you know, prolonging people's life. But what does that mean? And how do you determine how you prolong someone's life? I mean, you think your herbs and your diets and your biblical diet is going to do that when the outcome is death anyways? And so, you know, it's like, so that's what I'm up against, is the fact that there are people that still believe people should die. And so all I'm doing is pointing out the hypocrisies. All I'm doing is pointing out the hypocrisies, the imbalances. And yeah, you know, I came off very, very, I would say, matter of fact, and maybe people could think I was attacking the therapy world. But in a lot of ways, I am, only because I see the damage in the therapy world when they are not promoting a type of protocol that will able to handle the person revisiting that trauma and that pain. And so, yeah, if you are doing therapy, whether it's physical therapy, trauma therapy, spiritual therapy, body therapy, mind therapy, and you're not adding J juice into the mix and it's not part of your platform, how do you think a person's going to be able to handle having those traumas come to surface again, being released from the chambers of their body that was cordoned off to begin with? Because that's how the body's defense system works. When you have a therapy and a trauma, that's why people do, they have this dissociation when they're like a prostitute or something. How they survive human trafficking is they have to compartmentalize that trauma and shove it away, or they would be destroyed. And then when a therapist comes in and wants to heal them, they release all that trauma, and the trauma has really nowhere to go because the body couldn't handle it to begin with. It got into that situation to begin with, and it couldn't, it handled it, but it was supposed to be locked away. But yes, when you have something locked away like a trauma in your lymph nodes and it's not being taken care of and released properly, okay, yes, then cancer, disease, and chronic illness happens. Okay, so if a therapist is not bringing in the J juice, and if you've been exposed to my information and you're not putting J juice as part of your platform, because I'm giving you really the information for you to understand that the device, the body has to be able to handle that reinfection of that trauma, regardless of what it is. It could be sexual abuse, it could be mental abuse, it could be physical abuse, it could be domestic violence. It could be, where you get in a car accident and you have to, and now you're paralyzed, and maybe there's a way to, do some kind of therapy. They're doing physical therapy on bodies that are already weak and won't be able to handle that reinfection, that stress on the body. And so, yeah, I'm going to say across the board, every therapy, whether it's yoga, whether it's exercise, whether it's stretching, because all of that is therapy on a body that can't handle it. It's not strong enough, or it's strong enough, but it is then deteriorating them even more. Okay? And so, yes, so when I have therapists that come onto my page and want to insert their perspective on the J juice, and they're really not doing J juice, they say they're promoting it in very small circumstances, but believe me, they're not taking it to a symposium when it's part of the tickets that they go and sell to go and attend their conference. Their J juice is nowhere in the background. It's something that's hidden away like a redheaded stepchild. And I know that because I know the backlash, I know the fear of the backlash. But when you really want to help somebody, you have to help them fix their device to be able to handle the pain. And that's the whole point of J juice. It's not just the pain sequence. It's not just fixing the device and strengthening the weaknesses. It's not just, changing your biochemistry. There are so many things happen simultaneously. We're not compartmentalizing the body, mind, and spirit like they do in the therapy world, in the allopathic holistic world. And so when I get triggered, it's because I have somebody in that world that I know is trying to figure this out and how they're going to twist it to their agenda without actually promoting J juice. How can they use my information to help strategize their platform? I know it. Okay. And so, so when I get triggers, I had these people coming into my mix, and then they put in their spin. Oh, I read something here. Oh, I read something there. Oh, my friend told me this. Well, that all comes from a world that is on a death trajectory. That's being filtered through someone's perception as they are degrading in the system. So I don't care what you read out there. If you're not doing J juice at the level that I see that you are, you're not. And if you're a therapist and you're promoting your products and services and you're not bringing J juice into the forefront, then it is a deception. And I see it as a deception, because how are you helping your clients when they're already damaged from the initial trauma because their body was already weak to begin with? How is your therapy really helping them? Or are you just basically doing chemotherapy? because that's what therapy is. Chemotherapy, therapy, that's why chemo and therapy are the same word. That's why they're strung together, because it's a therapy. It's a stay of execution that doesn't necessarily promote long-term life. It's just something temporary. And then people make a quick buck off of that. Yeah, some people are able to move past, like, I mean, I did therapy in my world when I had to get through certain things, and that's fine. No, you know, it's fine. But then we didn't know about J juice back then. But now that I know about J juice and I feel I need to go do therapy, well, that's fine. And that's really, every therapy should have J juice somewhere in the mix, but it's not. And so when people are coming through, running through my group, that I see are therapists, and they're not bringing J juice to the forefront. They are energy healers, you know, psychotherapists, any type of therapist, and they're aware of J juice, but they don't put it out there in the forefront. Then they are not doing J juice, or they're afraid, or they're just looking to make a quick, easy buck, because there's so many desperate people out there. And so when I notice this, I notice the hypocrisy, I notice all of this, I will come down, because I have to control the narrative, because it will get out of control. You already see it in the conspiracy world. You already see it around just the whole J juice, how it was rolled out. Narratives do get out of control. Now, I don't necessarily need to go and control people's perception out there, but on my page, in my group, I control the narrative. People will say what they want out there, but in my world, the narrative cannot be diluted by someone's perception based upon their death trajectory. And so, yes, I will get triggered, because I will put my foot down. I am not going to allow somebody to go and change the narrative on me. Okay. And so, yeah, I'm going to have to be frank, because really, you know, the whole point is to get J juice out there. Why wouldn't we hold the therapists out there that are coming through my group accountable for saying, hey, you know, you have to get the device upgraded to handle that reinfection when you're bringing up the pain. There's no point in doing detoxes out there. That's why we're against the detoxes, using bentonite clay and mercury and zeolite and aluminum silicate, because you're basically damaging and you are weakening the body to not be able to handle the pain that's coming to surface. That's why we don't do detoxes, because it weakens the body, and then you can't even release that excess, you know, toxic, whether it's energy or minerals or acids, because you already have a weak system, and now you're just reinfecting yourself. So, you know, I get really, like, when my husband's like, oh, give me a massage, I'm like, I really don't want to give you a massage, because you're not doing the J juice. And if I release all those toxins out of your lymph nodes, where are they going to go? They're going to reinfect you again. So, you know, I have to play things very cool, even with my own relationship, because I don't want to feel like I'm damaging my husband because of that he's so used to massage and sex and all that. So I keep everything really like balanced, because I don't want to accelerate the death. And that's how I am even in my own world. I'm very aware that of all the different therapies, the things that we have just been like mainstreamed and just so used to, it actually does damage to people if they're not upgrading their device. And that's always going to be the standpoint I come from, is fixing the device first, okay? And then you will see a progressive healing of the body, mind, and spirit. And if I see somebody write something where they're basically inferring that we're not going to need food in the future, you know, I have to come, and I want to shut down the voices that are out there that aren't doing J juice, really, that are just trying to bring in so many different other protocols that are not actually talking about the biochemistry and the chemistry, not just the salt, because I have people seeing just focus on the salt. Even people who are posting about pink Himalayan salt and all these different therapies, this J juice is not about just the salt. It is a biochemical process. You start compartmentalizing the body, mind, and spirit, and then you compartmentalize the J juice, you've missed the point of J juice. And I have to keep reminding people this is not just about the salt, because as much as you can talk great about the salt, somebody else can then characterize the salt as something horrible. And you don't want to give somebody that kind of allowance, okay? It's not just about the salt. It is about the lactic acid, the micro and macronutrition, and the electrolytes. And salt is just one component. But there are people that still in the holistic world running my protocol through their filtration process, and the only thing they can come up with that seems like it makes sense to them is, oh, the salt is great. Or you have a troll out there that's afraid of pain and symptoms, oh, the salt is bad. And now you have this conflict. And we're not trying to go there. We're not trying to say something is good and something bad. We're saying, hey, it's a chemical process and pain is part of the healing, but it's not just the pain. You have to upgrade your device to handle the reinfection of bringing up past traumas, okay? There are people that are bringing up past traumas on bodies that can't handle it and then destroy them further. And that's why I came down on the therapy people yesterday, and why I vet out my therapists that are on the J-Juice protocol. Some are still kind of playing the, well, I'll just kind of keep J-Juice as a redheaded stepchild, okay? Something to kind of stick under the roof, or not under, stick under in the basement and not really acknowledge it too much. Maybe here and there just to kind of satisfy Jillian, but really not bring it to the forefront. And that's why I don't collaborate, because people should be applying my J-Juice protocol in the forefront. If I'm going to be saying, hey, I'm going to collaborate with this guy with his energy healing, that's fine. You do all these different protocols, but they're not adding Jilly Juice to their platform. And why is that not? Because they're afraid of the backlash, but it actually helps people. But if they don't realize it actually helps people, then why would they even want me to promote them? And why would they, and that's why I don't collaborate, because people are not inclined to put me on their platform. They won't bring me up in their symposiums. And so that's why I don't like the hypocrisy of, why should I promote this guy and collaborate with him when he's too afraid to talk about J-Juice in the public arena. So I'm going to come back and say, hey, guess what, you therapists out there? The reason why the allopathic and holistic world is not really where we're headed toward as far as the J-Juice, because it is re-damaging, reinfecting people on devices that cannot handle it, because they couldn't handle it to begin with. And that's how I control the narrative, so somebody doesn't just steal from us and have me promote them and thinking I'm going to collaborate with them when they're not, have no intention of bringing me into their mix. No intention at all. Oh, but they'll talk a good game in my group. They'll say stuff on my Facebook, but in their world, on their Facebook page, J-Juice never really comes up. And if it does come up, it's in small little comments hidden away from really the main purpose of their page. And I don't like that. And so, no, I'm not going to go and just give my my energy to go and collaborate with someone when they have no intention to really collaborate with us. Because remember, J-Juice has a stigma. The people that understand J-Juice are doing it, and they're out there, they're vocal, they're putting their names behind their testimonies. They have no problem putting their name behind their testimony. Okay? Now, I know some of you are in very sensitive areas and you know that J-Juice has some backlash, you don't. And I understand that's a balance. But at some point, you're going to have to go public with the J-Juice because it does work. And you're going to have to deal with the backlash like I've dealt with it. And it's not easy. Believe me, when you have people writing smack about you, going personal on you, sending you mean texts and trolling the shit out of you, yeah. But then you know what? The J-Juice does strengthen. And then you deal with it, you heal from it, and then you don't ever revisit that crap again. No matter what, people are not going to like you, and no matter what, people will like you. And you just have to come to terms with that and keep fighting all of the hearsay and the rumors with information. And you stay in the public eye. I am on this page every single day, putting stuff out there, putting my thoughts out there, giving you reasons why I get triggered so you don't demonize triggers. I give you a background of why it is I do the things I do, and then maybe it might help you analyze why you get upset, why it is that you have these issues or that issues. Okay, because let me tell you, whatever issues you have, I already been through them. Because J-Juice is like a very predictable healing process, especially if you're following in my footsteps and bringing this to the public with your name on it. You're going to have to deal with coming to terms with idiots out there. And there's so many of them and whatever, but you learn how to fight back with information with strength and resolve, and when to turn the cheek, because not every fight is worth fighting. Okay, but if you feel like I felt I needed to do something when I was doing what I had to do, and some, it didn't always come out the way I wanted to, but that's okay. At least I did it. And if you just have to go through the motions of whatever fight you have to fight to acknowledge that you're trying to do something, perfect, do it. Doesn't mean everybody else should do it, but do what you have to do. And that's with the Jejus. Do what you have to do to get through the next level of healing. Doesn't mean and that's the thing with that, with the remedies and the biohacks, is that, we're not trying to tell people to do these biohacks and do these remedies while on the Jejus. You're all going to do what you got to do to get through the next level and balance out managing the pain and the healing. You will all pick and choose your battles and how you're going to fight this battle. Okay? And if it's chemotherapy, so be it. If it's doing some breathing exercise, so be it. If it's taking out an organ, okay, fine, so be it. I'm not going to tell you not to do a procedure. Because when you do the Jejus, every potential out there is to regrow that organ if you choose to take it out for whatever reason. Okay? And so, no matter what, the Jejus can fit with any protocol, anything out there. Okay? And so it's not something that needs to be hidden away, but people do hide it away because they're afraid of all the backlash and all of the trolls. And okay, fine, then you're not ready for the Jejus. Because I'm telling you, if you can't handle me on my worst day, and let me tell you, I'm not an easy person, but I am very, very, committed to keeping and controlling the narrative. If you can't handle me, let me tell you, the Jejus and the healing, especially for a lot of you with so many different issues, will not be able to handle the intensity. Because it's not something that is just like, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, you're done. No, this is something that is a marathon. And it'll be a few years, and you do the Jejus, you'll go to work, you'll do your stuff, you do the Jejus, you carve out, you will have to prioritize your time to fit in the healing process. And, and maybe you might see some miracles and benefits that you want to write about and share with people, so that way they see the benefit and they see the possibility. And sometimes you're just going to be sleeping a lot. Sometimes you'll just be watching Netflix and sleeping and dealing with a headache because, man, that's just part of the process. And you don't want to say anything to anybody, and you don't have to. Okay? But I would rather my group be a bit more silent than have so many voices that are saying so much stuff, filtered through so much crap. And I don't want 60,000 people bitching and filtering the Jejus through their perceptions. I really don't. It's that select few that I want to hear from that are going to give people the real good information so they can make that choice. When you have the Tower of Babel, when you have a holistic group where they're asking people for what do you do when you get a cold, and you have 500 comment lines, I don't want that. So I do control the narrative. I don't want people that vocal. I want people vocal that have something to say that's substantial, that will be meaningful to those that are new. But I don't want just, pages and pages of bitches about their healing. So yes, I get triggered. I control the narrative because I have to, because look at America, look at the West, look at the East, look at the rumors, look at people influencing people in such ways, look at people trying to take someone else's narrative and control it. I'm not allowing somebody else to control the narrative of Jejus. Myself and Kevin and Lillian and Bridget will control the narrative Jejus, and that's it. No one else is going to try to control it. And I'm going to stop it if I see any glimmer of someone trying to do that. Okay? So that's why I am who I am. That's why I'm so freaking intense that some of you get offended by. Well, get a backbone. Maybe you need to be more triggered. Maybe you need to be more intense. Okay? So, but that's okay. Not everybody is going to be as intense. Some people need to be the way they are so they can get their talents out for whatever reason. I understand that, but there is a balance. But we don't need to shame or demonize somebody, but there is appropriate places to express your issues. Okay? And so when someone I know is on the Jejus and they need to express and vent, but they have to do it in a very, in a very constructive form. And there's ways to vent about Jejus. There's ways to vent about their healing process without destroying the people around them and destroying the narrative of the protocol. And if you don't know how to do that, then you don't say anything at all. But let me tell you, I do come down on my therapists that are coming through the protocol, because they have a lot of knowledge. But remember, the knowledge is from the allopathic holistic world, and the whole point of therapy is to mitigate pain as well as bring it up. But what's missing is the devices are not really able to handle it, and then it does more damage. Okay? And so that I am who I am. You guys are who you are. Do the J juice. It'll change your biochemistry. It'll change your body, mind, and spirit. But the body has to be able to handle the changes in the biochemistry. It doesn't make sense to change biochemistry when the body is not equipped to handle it. And that's what goes on in the allopathic holistic world, is that they're trying to change biochemistries on bodies that are inefficient. And that's why you see people still dying and passing away. That's why I see vegans and vegetarians dying and passing away. Because it doesn't make sense to change your diet if your body isn't able to handle the changes. And then eventually, you know what? There's not going to be any diet. When you actually do the J juice and you change your biochemistry and upgrade your device, you're not going to discriminate against anybody, anything, any food, as long as the FDA approved, fruit or vegetable. And you will have an amazing sense of freedom. You're not going to be living in the bubble that you have painted yourself in. Because it's not the vaccines, it's not Monsanto, it's not the government that painted you guys in a bubble, but you guys did that. Okay? And now you have a chance to get out of that bubble and start living. Okay? And that's all we're trying to do, is give you that opportunity. Take the information, process it, and then you do what you want with it. Now you have no one to blame but yourself if you don't get the results, which is indefinite life. I mean, I'm 45 years old. Okay, God willing, I'm gonna stay looking this way and stay feeling this way forever, unless the earth explodes or we get into some nuclear war and then they decimate Canton, Ohio, and I can't get out fast enough. That's the only way I'm gonna die, or a freak accident where I'm not in control because somebody else is driving the car. But then I'm going to go limp if I see a freaking accident. I'm going to go limp and try to find the best possible way to survive a car accident. But statistically, I'm not in a car that much to where I would have to worry about that. Okay? So, I mean, that's the opportunity that's available. So yes, so when I'm a BITCH and I'm getting triggered, somebody crossed the line and I'm putting them back in their place and let people know, you're not going to control the narrative. I don't care what education you have. I don't care where you came from. I don't care what you say your intentions are. What you write is what I respond to. So if you don't want me to respond to what you write, then don't write something, or be very careful and choose your words carefully. Not everybody is good at that, because there is language barriers, there is translation barriers, there is cultural differences, and I have to also be aware of that. But I'm still human, okay? I'm still going to respond to what is written, okay? And so that's what you all have to, really realize, is that people are going to respond to what you write, and even the tone. And if you don't want any miscommunication, then say what you mean, even if you have to spell it out. Make no assumptions that people know where you're coming from, because things do get lost in translation, things do get lost in texting or in writing. And so so leave no room for misinterpretation. When I say kind of, or this, I when I, instead of saying like well, therapy, therapists kind of damage their patients when I'm like, kind of, what the hell is kind of? Either they're damaging their patients or they're helping their patients. Well, it all depends on the intention. Just like chemotherapy and cannabis, it's a stay of execution. People don't like chemotherapy, people don't like cannabis, but it's a stay of execution. But is it going to help them in the long run? No, it's just a temporary stay of execution, because really, every single cannabis patient, every single chemotherapy patient in the matrix have died at some point. And they roll the dice to buy them a few years, if they even have that long. But that's not the point of J juice. We're not trying to buy you a few years. We're not trying to do a stay of execution. We're trying to not only prolong your life, but then have you understand what it takes to live indefinitely, the possibility. Okay? That's all we're doing. And you have to go through pain. But for you to go through pain, you have to upgrade your device. And that happens simultaneously with the J juice, is that you are not only dealing with the pain and bringing the pain to surface and healing, but you're also upgrading your device to handle that process. And then you just figure out how to manage your daily life while you're healing. And that's all the J juice world is. It's very cut and dry. So I'm not looking for a collaboration with anybody sending me links and texts and videos on validating the J juice through other types of holistic things. Okay? Kevin does the research. I do research when I need to. And that's pretty much it. I mean, really, Kevin is my research guy. He knows where we're going with this. Okay? So I'm not looking for anyone else to partner up and collaborate and send me, you know, validation of the J juice. I already know J juice, it works. Okay? We already know it. Now we just want you guys to do it. And just to give us feedback. Some people will give us their daily feedback. Oh, I had cabbage and chicken the other day, and they post that in the group. I love it. It's showing that they're just living their life, doing the J juice. It's part of their life. It's incorporated in their life. And sometimes you don't need to have some great miracle like, oh yeah, I reversed my eyesight, which is great for Packy. Sometimes just something like as benign as, yeah, here's my meal that I ate with the J juice. And it's all on the protocol. That is great. That shows people that, you know what, this is just going to be part of your lifestyle for a few years until you then, you know, then someone asked me, well, how long do you do J juice? Is it just for 2 years, 5 years? You're doing this forever. Okay? You know, I don't know how long it's going to take for you to reverse all your issues, but the specific measurable result to where you see that you are in a place where you can eat whatever you want and take the J juice as needed is when you actually reverse the aging process where you're not, where if you're 50 or 40 or if you're 50, 60 or 70, you look 30. Okay? Maybe you have a whole head of white hair and now all your color came back, the minerals came back to your hair. Okay? I mean, some of you are in your 20s and you're like, well, how do I know? Well, just do the J juice. If you're doing J juice in large amounts and you don't see a lot of healing symptoms and you feel amazing, you feel on your mark, you're not scared, you're not dealing with symptoms, and you're doing large amounts of J juice, then hey, you're home free. But actually everyone that even in their 20s have so many generational issues, things are going to come up. Okay? There is not going to be any 20-year-old that isn't going to have an issue as far as healing when it comes to the J juice. Okay? But your healing process will be definitely much faster than someone in their 50s and 60s. It took me 3 years with PMDD to get to this point. 3 years. Okay? Some of you are battling the aging process, cancer, disease, chronic illness, obesity. And so you got a long way to go. And you have to keep doing the J juice. You got to. Okay? So yeah, I am who I am because I have to control the narrative. I'm very intense because I know how fast things can get out of control if you don't keep people in line. And hey, if you don't like the way I do things, no one has to stay. You can take the J juice and bring it to your own world and do it how you want to. People have done their own protocols with the J juice and they get out of my world because I'm like, oh my God, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. We don't want you to do that. And they're like, screw it. You know, I'm going to do it my own way. Okay, good luck with that. Good luck with that. So, anyways, I want to explain why I'm as intense as I am because even my own moderators, they're not next to me. Even my own husband doesn't really understand why I'm intense the way I am. But I've dealt with all of this bullshit like on a personal level for a very long time. Some of you kind of got some of the, you know, the residual of all my crap because of the fact that you're associated with me. But yeah, so you know, some people, you know, do get offended the way in which I handle people and the way where I come down. Because even the complainers that go in and just want to spew in my group they're controlling the narrative too. Everything that you say when it comes to J-Juice is either you're aligned with the narrative and the protocol, or you're trying to control it and spin it to your perception. And so that's how it is. That's why I come down the way I do, because either you're aligned with the protocol and you're characterizing it in the way that you should, or you're mischaracterizing it, trying to control the narrative in a way that is ineffective and inefficient and not appropriate for my group. And so when you see me get triggered, somebody has tried to spin it in their perception that is not aligned. And that's it. There's nothing else wrong with me, but I have boundaries. Okay? And so, so sometimes even my moderators don't understand. And they get like, oh my God, you're freaking people out. Good. I'd rather chase away 50 whiners. And I'd rather keep 10 people who are really or 10 people who are really that good at communicating, or that don't say anything at all, but they give me support. Okay? Because believe me, we have 7 billion people on the planet. I got 6,000 followers on my Facebook plus so I have like 6,000, 5,000, 4,000 friends. Oh yeah, 6,000 followers. Friends and followers are probably the same thing. 6,000 over on, so probably I have like 6,000 or 7,000 people, maybe more, that follow. That's not a whole lot, but we have 7 billion people. And it's still very early on in the process. Someone sent me an email. It was like, oh yeah, I regrew my finger. And my moderator, Lillian's like, oh, okay, just send us a picture, the before and after. So the guy writes back, goes, oh yeah, I'm gonna go look for the finger that, the picture that I had my finger missing, And he's like, well, before I send you any before and afters, is there any money involved? I need to get paid, I mean, how much, I'm like, and I'm telling him, okay, coming out with the J-Juice protocol is not a money-making venture as far as reversing anything. The only money I make is from my book. And even then, the protocol and the support and the recipe and all of that is really for free. So the book is the only thing that I make money off of. Hey, if you actually regrew your finger, maybe down the road, if you're willing to come out publicly and put your name behind that testimony, yeah, you're going to get backlash. You're going to get more backlash than you're going to get money, because I'm going to tell you, the mainstream has not picked up on this really and adopted it. It's getting there, but it's not there yet. Okay? And so you're going to have to pay your dues just like I did if you're going to come out and say that you regrew a finger. You're going to have people harassing you. You're going to have people completely demonizing you. You're going to have, who knows what you're going to have. So anyone that comes out as far as saying that they regrew a finger, organ, or limb or something and put their name behind it, they're going to have to deal with the backlash. People doubting them, said, oh, you're paid by Jillian, you're a shill of Jillian, this and that. And it's not worth it for some. It really isn't. If you have really nothing to lose, then yeah, you'll just, or you're so committed to humanity, you don't care, and you're that strong, and you're doing the J-Juice, because let's say if you regrew a finger, you've already dealt with everything. You would have been able to handle the backlash. And so when I said this is not a money-making venture, you're going to have to deal with people messing with you and this and that and and maybe, and you have to stick with me, and maybe if the mainstream picks up on it and I make a little money, you might make a little money too. I don't know. Or write a book about your process. Write a book about this. Didn't hear anything back from him. So, 3 years is very new. I doubt that he grew a finger in 3 years. Hey, it could happen, but there's no proof, no substantiation. I get little trolls that try to threaten me through emails and whatever, they think they're slick, but they're not. So, this is very new. So it's going to take time for this to come out. So just keep doing the J-Juice. Okay. And when you get strong enough and you see, and if somebody, it does have ALS, and they're documenting their journey privately, and they have now seen a major reversal and there's substantiation behind that, yeah, come out. And there are people that are, that are already in the public eye in some way. that are documenting their journey. And they probably will come out with some documentary once they really see some major stuff and once they figure out how they're going to position J-Juice and their healing process. Okay, so, you know, so I want substantial people on this protocol. I just don't want 60,000 people just descending and filtering their perception of it through their imbalances, because then that's when you have the Tower of Babel. And I don't want that, because new people don't need to filter, try to wade through the bullshit. Okay? New people do not need to wade through the bullshit. So I want substantial testimonies, even if it's just even if it's just like a daily documentation that you're eating cabbage and chicken. Okay, great, good. All right, so that is why I do what I do. So that's pretty much it. You know, there's not much I really want to say right now, but I'm sure if anything else comes up, I'll share it with you guys. Okay? All right. You guys have a great day. Do the J-Juice and understand why I am as intense as I am. Because remember, hearsay and other people controlling the narrative gets out of control very quickly if you don't get on it very quickly, at least in your world. Okay? And I have a business page, I have a website, and I have my Facebook page. So that's how I control the narrative. What people say out there, I really don't care. But if someone truly wants to know from the horse's mouth truly where I'm coming from, they would find out instead of believing all the hearsay. Okay? All right. Talk to you later.